Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us on our multicultural forum as we speak on the theme Diversity Creates Dimension in the World. Tonight's panel includes exchange students from France, Angola, Peru, Japan, Grenada, and Sahara. Each country representative here will speak on pressing issues in organization culture from their perspectives on their own country. Let's meet the panel.
Hi, my name is Nicholas, and I am representing the Spice Island of the Caribbean, Grenada. Grenada gained independence from Britain on the 7th of February 1974. We produce cinnamon and boast the best quality nutmeg and cocoa in the world due to our fertile soil. We have a thriving tourism sector, and our carnival is one of the best in the Caribbean that continues to attract thousands of visitors to our island.
Well said, Grenada. Hi, guys. I'm Deandra from Peru, and I will be your speaker for tonight. Peru is the third largest in the South America after Brazil and Argentina. It is made up of a variety of landscapes, from mountains and beaches to deserts and rainforests. The most common greeting is a handshake, and the handshake is usually light and accompanied by eye contact.
Boa noite. This is good evening in Angola. Yes, you guessed it right. I am from Angola. I am Floyd Small. Angola is a country that gained its independence in November 11, 1975. Angola is situated on the Atlantic coast of southern Africa. It is bordered by Congo, Zambia, Namibia, and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. We are a Portuguese-speaking country, with our main religion being Christianity. I live in the beautiful capital of Luanda, where you have to have a lot of kwanza in your pocket, or own one of the diamond fields if you want to live in comfort. Any other questions you guys want to know about my country? Please free to ask. Obrigado.
Konnichiwa. My name is Dacia Dunkley, and I'll be representing Japan. Now, Japan is a powerful and wealthy country in Asia. It is made up of 4 major islands and several small islands. The capital of Japan is Tokyo. Over 127 million people live in Japan, making it one of the most densely populated countries in the world. To the Japanese, Japan is called Nippon, meaning source of the sun. It is also known as the land of the rising sun. Japan's national flag is a simple red circle and a white background. The red circle represents the rising sun.
Okay.
Anna Smithy is Shelleen Clark. Anna Men Lahing Rib. Arabic. Hi, my name is Shelleen Clark, and I'm from Morocco, Sahara, known as the Desert Village, also known for its famous sand, a country of many faces known for its crafting. The history of Morocco continues to weave threads into today's fabric. The largest city is Casablanca.
Bonsoir à tous, je m'appelle Casey Pinnock et je représente la France. En France, on aime le vin, fromage et la pâtisserie. Good evening, everyone. I'm Casey Pinnock, and I'm representing France. In France, we love wine, cheese, and pastries. Now, France is one of the most modern and well-developed countries in the world and is a leader among European nations. France continues to be proud of its rich history and independence, while its leaders are aiming to tie the future of the country to the ongoing development of the European Union more and more as time progresses. France has one of the largest populations in the EU, with 65.2 million people as at 2020, and includes over 4 million foreign residents and immigrants. Due to immigration from France's colonial past, it has a huge diversity of cultures and ethnic groups. Welcome and good evening again, everyone. So we'll start off the panel tonight talking about intercultural competence. which basically means that being aware of your own culture and that there are other cultures out there that are different from yours, and the ability to learn and honor these differences. Intercultural competence is important in a diverse world for that reason. In a world where there are 7 continents, 235 countries, there are countless cultures and subcultures that exist, some still unknown. In 1952, anthropologist Alfred Kroeber identified over 169 definitions of cultures at that point. Intercultural competence is so important an entity called United Cultures was formed with the mission to promoting a background of the cultures in health, culture, religion, education, science, economy, and politics. Its purpose is to encourage understanding, respect, and equality between cultures or cultural groups in its member states. Cultural competence helps to break down cultural barriers, build cultural bridges, and learn how to love and appreciate people who are different from us. And this is a major part of the United Cultures and why cultural competence is important. Intercultural competence in the organization is, in my opinion, a difficult area to navigate. One will find it that in any given country where a foreign individual has been employed, cultural shock is experienced. However, the experiences are said of said individuals and the reaction received from fellow employees who are natives to said countries may not be entirely pleasant. Whilst cultural diversity may be encouraged within organizations and residents have cultural competence, there are many instances where they will experience different reactions. Now, let me move over to my friend here from Grenada, Nicholas. Can you tell us about some of the cultural practices in organizations over there?
Sure. Majority of the companies in Grenada, apart from the government entities and the agricultural sector, are owned and operated by foreigners. These foreigners are from the CARICOM region, such as Jamaica, St. Lucia, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. These companies tend to practice hierarchy culture, in which the top management positions are only occupied by the company's nationals. That leave the menial positions to be filled by locals, no matter the locals' qualification, skill, experiential knowledge attained over time. It doesn't matter. This has caused the locals to be prejudiced against the managers in their social interaction in the workplace. Grenadians think that they are biased against them because these foreigners think they are better than them, are better than us. And to make matters worse, their ethnocentric attitude has subjected the locals to more than the norm security checks, like they have hired criminals or delinquents. This norm has caused the locals to succumb to a eater food culture, an almost donkey type of behavior, one that wanting them not to have more and pushing towards that goal. Grenada has been through political trials and tribulations, and over the years, which has shaped them culturally and may influence their attitudes in the working environment. My friend from Angola, what it is like in your country in this same question?
Well, Mr. McFarlane, it's quite different and diverse in this side of the world. Being that business culture in Angola is formal and hierarchical in organizational structures. This is common over the country. The most senior individuals in corporations often make the decisions. However, final decisions are frequently reached after conversations with subordinates. The standard normally for business dresses that men usually dress in light clothes because of the heat, while women dress in longer jackets and skirts. Men primarily hold the upper positions in government industries, the military, etc. When it comes to your pay gaps between men and women are common. As far working environments, most males move to cities in quest of employment to better able to provide for their families. From a Peruvian friend, how are things on your side?
Well, for Peru, it's a bit easier, but let me just add. Let me just give an overview on my side. Peru has been greatly affected by both Spanish and the indigenous inhabitants of the country. There are numerous facets of Peruvian life that exhibit this fusion of culture, and it influences cultural practices in the organization. Some of these are a strong emphasis on hierarchy and respect for authority figures, a collectivist mindset with a strong emphasis on the group over the individual, a strong sense of punctuality and a respect for deadlines, a high degree of formality in business interactions, and use of formal titles such as last names is also supposed to be done in business settings. Japan, can you just give a brief oversight on your side of the world?
Sure, Deandra. So if you want to work in Japan in a high position, you should be prepared to what you most probably would never experience working in Europe or America. To begin with, the HR system in Japan is designed in such a way that a foreign manager never becomes a CEO. And if he becomes one day, it is only because the foreign shareholder has a set of conditions for the Japanese partner. But be sure that the Japanese partner will require the same from his foreign partner. And tomorrow you will have 2 CEOs in the company.
Wow. So I'd like to put a listen to that, and I'll speak about the cultural influences on gender and occupation over here in France. Now, gender doesn't play a major role in the business culture in France. Actually, business women, including a lot of foreign women, are actually well respected as much as their male counterparts. Albeit women are more readily accepted in management positions than that of men, especially in the major cities. However, if you look into the provinces, you'll still find that gender inequality is very much alive and well. Females should be aware that flirting is generally considered normal and acceptable in France, and it is seen as harmless entertainment just to lighten the day at work or socially. Harmless flirting, however, should not be confused with sexual harassment, which is completely unacceptable. So, for example, paying appreciative comments on a colleague's dress or perfume choice could be considered sexual harassment in some countries. Meanwhile, in France, it's considered as a genuine compliment and it is received as such. However, within the business culture, France trying to emulate their French co-workers in flirting should only be done if you can do it elegantly, since crossing the line into vulgarity and roughness can get you into trouble. Do you have anything to add,
Well, Casey,
Sahara?
Casey, it's quite different on this side in Japan. Gender roles in Japan are deeply entwined with the East Asian countries' religious and cultural history. Japan's most popular philosophy, which is Confucianism, enforces gendered rules relating to fashion and public behavior. For example, from a young age, Japanese men are taught the importance of professional success, higher education, honoring the family name, and providing for the family, while the women only receive education through middle school and are taught to focus on being respectful, learning to cook, and taking care of the children and the in-laws. Under this framework, women are not supposed to have a high-paying job or a paying job any at all. It was not until the 1900s that women in Japan were allowed to earn a college degree. Can you imagine that? Women with a career at the expense of focusing on a family have become a target for blame. While the cultural understanding of women's roles in society has changed, that of men's has not. Honoring the family name and being a breadwinner are still deeply instilled priorities in Japan.
Okay.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot. They
Mhm.
still happening in Japan. Growing up, I could hardly identify a Japanese from a Chinese, but I guess we can know. So my input
Yes,
on the gender roles and occupation. Another area in which the many nations that live in Sahara Occidental might provide light in the cultural effect that is exerted on gender roles and occupations. They have the ability to give an insight of how other cultures see gender roles and how they view impact in the workplace. This might entail gaining an awareness of how people of other culture regard certain jobs, particularly in relation to gender roles and expectation. In addition to this, they are able to provide light of how people of other culture understand the notion of a healthy work-life balance and how a more equal workplace might be established. Isn't it strange? We have different cultures and different backgrounds and all of that, but this is quite interesting. So, Nicholas,
absolutely.
could you please shed some light over there on the negative and positive perception?
Sure thing. Grenada, being a polychronic cultural society, they tend to be easygoing. Concept of time is free flowing and may just change depending on each situation. Distraction and interruptions are a natural part of life. Due to these attitudes, foreigners may have the negative perception that they are lazy, unpunctual, and lack the drive to complete a task on time. On the contrary, this very attitude has enabled them to be relaxed, listen, be patient, and tolerate other diverse cultures that has visited the island, especially through tourism. Grenada is predominantly Roman Catholic, and our culture to say, please God. Or in other cultures, it might mean if God's willing. And they would say this phrase whenever or anytime they are promised to do something the following day or the next day. This may give off a negative perception as being overly religious, but it's just their tradition. They don't like people too inquisitive, even questions that are simply normal in other cultures. Maybe just too forward for them to say they will exclaim, Mako, it means too fast, mind your own business.
Mm.
Well, Mr. Nicholas, you want to come to Angola? Things are very rough over here. For instance, one popular saying in Angola is that appearances are deceitful. In the perspective of many Westerners, Africa and Africans have been defined by negative perceptions and depictions such as civil wars, famine, corruption, greed, selfishness, and the like. More than the media, there are several other groups that actively promote unfavorable preconceptions about Angola, and to a further extent, Africa on the whole. Additionally, critical portrayals of Africa frequently dominate academic thinking and writing about the continent. As our motto says, virtue is stronger when united. However, there are some positive. Angola is rich in resources, especially minerals like diamonds, oil, and minerals. Our young people in Angola frequently associate modernity with cosmopolitan references, informational accessibility, and educational opportunities. It appears the desire to have access to circumstances to permit integrating the modern world and the modern economy supports this idea of modernity. Moreover, there are many more, but for now, I'll just leave the rest.
Okay, thank you. For Peru, perception is different from what Angola and Grenada stated. For Peru, perception can vary in many ways, and some of these are influenced by a number of factors. These include personal experiences, media portrayal, and social stereotypes. One negative perception that some people in Peru may have of certain culture is that they are associated with criminal and violence. Can't get away from that. For example, there may be a perception that individuals from certain indigenous communities or Peruvian communities are more likely to be involved in criminal activities. Another negative perception that may exist is that people from certain cultures are not educated or capable of as individuals from other cultures. This can lead to discrimination and bias in the workplace and areas of society. But on the other hand, there are also some positive perception that people in Peru have. For example, many people in Peru have a deep appreciation of the rich history and cultural heritage of indigenous communities and may view them as important part of the country's national identity. Similarly, there's a growing awareness and appreciation of Afro-Peruvian cultures and its contribution to dance, music, and other forms of artistic expression. Desia, I have a question here for you. What are some of the
Shelleen.
Shalene? No.
Okay, Deandra. First and foremost, let me say Sahara have a great sense of humor. The varied viewpoints of those living in the Sahara Occidental may also be beneficial to the interpersonal relationship that people have. They are able to provide light on how other society approach the concept of romantic partnership, as well as how various groups of individuals interact with each other. This might involve having a knowledge of a relevance of nonverbal communication, as well as the ability to handle dispute and settle conflicts in an effective manner. In addition, it may help one to understand how other culture see trust and friendship, as well as how to establish and to keep these kind of friendships. So, Dacia, how is it on your side?
I
Well,
think I'll actually take that one.
go ahead.
So in France, it's a little bit funny because France, the language of the place of romantic getaways, tourism, they actually have a varying attitude towards foreigners. They're not very tolerant towards them. And so the foreigners experience xenophobia. Did you know that wearing a full headgearing veil in public is legally banned, whether one is French or not?
No.
The French,
No, just
it
knowing.
is.
Just
The
knowing,
principle of
yes.
French laïcité states that nobody can show their religion in public. And the reason behind this is for security, actually. As an aspect of the French culture that has a major influence on business in France, in the country's attention to rules and regulation, they have a low tolerance for uncertainty and ambiguity, which is significant for those conducting business as they're reluctant to take risks. Now let's tell you about a little list of taboo things in France. French organizations are very hierarchical and communications across that line can be a bit time consuming. But if you want to speak to the manager, speak to them directly. Don't start a conversation in English. Try to speak French even if your knowledge of the language is limited. It will increase your chances of a positive business meeting. Never ask someone how much their salary is.
Oh,
Don't shake hands if you're exchanging a labis, which is kiss on the cheeks, and that's done at least twice. We don't address persons with the term tu, which in France means you, but that's the more informal term. We say vous instead. Keep your hands out of your pockets when in public. Slapping an open palm over a closed fist is considered to be offensive. Even snapping the fingers. It is extremely bad manners to ask a French individual about his or her political leanings or how they voted. You can, however, inquire about their political system and or the public opinion about a political leader. My friend Deandra from Peru,
hi.
can you tell me about the power struggles or tensions and the conflict resolution over there?
Okay. So all of us done that. We have power struggles and conflict, and there's some ideas or, thing that you can use to resolve these conflicts. So for Peru, we have conflict for many years. These conflicts are caused by political unrest, widespread of corruption, poverty, and it all exists throughout the nations. And the major cause is poverty, because once persons don't have a job, they turn to violence. As a result of these problems, the government, strong corporate interests, and common people have all been disrupted. The Peruvian government has used a variety of tactics to try and resolve these issues, and anti-corruption measures have been put in place in order to counteract the pervasive corruption that occurs throughout the nation. In order to ensure that the country's economic sustains stability and growth, and additional economic reforms have been put in place. In general, Peru's quest for power has played a crucial role in country's ongoing escalation of tension and conflict. However, there has been a shift in recent years towards putting more emphasis on communication and negotiation as a way to ease these conflicts. The Peru administration has also taken steps to enhance civil-military ties, also to spend money on infrastructure and education to try and lessen corruption in the nation. Additionally, initiatives has been done to foster reconciliation and justice for individuals who have been harmed by human rights crimes, as well as to strengthen relationship between nation and its close neighbor. Shalene, I think it's Shalene. Could you give an overview on interpersonal relationship?
I believe we've already touched on that. Why don't we
did?
move on to the concerns on international chains that employ foreigners?
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
I will weigh in on that.
Okay, Nicholas.
We'll let Sahara go first.
Okay.
And then
Go ahead, Sarah.
All right. So the many different nationalities that are represented in the Sahara Occidental may provide light on the issue that are faced by multinational chains that include employees from other countries. They have the ability to give an insight of how other cultures see the notion of employment, as well as how to establish a more fair climate in the workplace. In this context, understanding the need of giving fair salaries and benefits and ensuring that the foreign workers are treated with respect and supplied with the same rights and advantages as other employees. So these are both examples of the things that fall under this category?
Well, to my Moroccan princess, we're on the same continent, but we are not seeing things the same way. First of all,
Okay.
in Angola, you should focus on countries with which it already has close ties with, rather than the entire Atlantic as a whole. When strengthening relations that in that region, example with Portugal in Europe, Brazil in Latin America, the lack of clarity and the precise composition or makeup of the Atlantic serve as a smoke screen to conceal the nation's own easy understanding of its marine interactions. Secondly, in a continent that has been so profoundly shaped by its previous encounters with outside powers, long-standing doubts about the overarching goal of such larger narratives will never be readily put aside. Lastly, as expats and other citizens in other nations, Angolans prefer to conduct business with people they know and trust. Therefore, it's crucial for expats to get to know their Angolan counterparts and foster confidence among all types of businesses partners. So to my friend Nicholas.
Well, in Grenada, it's a little bit similar like in Sahara, as Shalene expressed. International chains such as hotels, wholesale, supermarket, hardware, car dealers, insurance, manufacturing companies, general merchandising, and housing construction. All of these are entities that are important to the Grenadian economy, but the companies that offer these services are owned by foreigners, which leave a deep concern that the locals are being grossly marginalized, not being able to afford prime real estate and owning essential businesses. This may have serious implications for the future of the people of Grenada and their culture. Thank you for listening to this social interaction of this cultural diverse exchange student from yours truly, Nicholas from Grenada, representing Grenada.
Deandra representing Peru.
Floyd Small representing Angola. Obrigado.
Daisy representing Japan.
Shalene Clark representing Sahara Occidental.
Casey representing France.
Bye.
Bye.
See you next time.
Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below.
Bye.
Yes.